My name's Jeremy Tomley.
Spike Richards with Saber Bats.
My name is Tasha Messer-Williams.
Benjamin Green.
My name is Seth Voorhees, and I am a modern-day bladesmith.
Whether it's down-home Southern cooking, skilled craftsmanship, or beautiful artwork, Mississippi is full of amazing people and amazing stories. So let them tell you what it means to be made in Mississippi.
Hello, my name is Tim Goggins. I'm the owner of Sandy Run Farm in Oak Grove, Mississippi. My parents were both in the medical field, but my grandparents had this farm. The farm's been in the family since 1930. My grandfather bought it from a Chris Oak Timber Company back in 1930. They came up from Loosedale, and when I was 3 years old, we moved back here from Alabama because my grandparents were getting older and my parents wanted to be around to be a caregiver for them. And so from the point of 3 years old, I was raised here. So I worked with my grandfather. That's kind of where my love for agriculture came from, because back in that day, he had cattle and raised some corn, and they had a few chickens and some produce, but I worked with him. I mean, both my parents worked, and so I kind of stayed over here with my grandparents every day, so I was following him around, haying cows and just doing farm chores, so just kind of created a love for agriculture and never lost it. After high school, I left and went and lived in Colorado for about 3 years, worked for custom wheat harvesters for different farmers out there, but the draw was always back to Mississippi. And so I came back here in the early 80s. It was probably in about 84, 85. The farm actually started when I took it over. The cows were all gone. I planted everything in Bermuda grass, and this was a hay operation. So all these fields back here were hay fields, and we did that for probably almost 20 years. And in 87, we planted our first blueberries, just an acre, and then we started growing it from there. It was mainly a commercial operation. It was probably about 23 years ago when we actually started the U-pick, which is what you're seeing today. We mainly do just the U-pick blueberries, blackberries, some peaches, and some persimmons. But it's just a work in progress. It continually changes. I mean, this year we took out an acre of blueberries and we're putting more blackberries because the public wants more of blackberries. I actually got into the wood grinding business. We grind up wood waste for municipalities, for mills, and even that has changed in the last, I've been in that since 2005. We started doing colored mulch, topsoils, and going directly to the customer. Every year it changes. My son, about 5 years ago now, he had done other work, public work, and he wanted to come back and be part of the farm. So now in the fall, we do a pumpkin patch, and that's kind of been his little baby that he's taken on, and it's growing every year. The U-pick blueberry operation, we opened like the middle of May through the 1st of July, and we opened the farm up for the public to come out, and we have built this pavilion. The U-pick is kind of transformed into family outings. We have a lot of people over the years that have come up, and they come every year, and we've seen their kids from the time they were newborns to now they're teenagers. And it's got to be a family tradition. You know, we've always kind of looked at the U-pick as kind of our way to give back to the community. You know, you can see around, the place is beautiful, so why not share that with somebody? I mean, why are we the only ones that can see this beauty every day? We kind of wanted to, kind of as a witness to our community, we wanted to kind of open it up and let people come out and enjoy the fruit, but also the environment. And I have a kind of a passion for the young people today. Now we're 3 and 4 generations of people that are away from the farm. The young people today don't know where their food comes from. So, you know, Walmart, if they don't have it, they'll get some tomorrow. They don't understand that the seasonal crops, that I mean, it's only here for a certain amount of time, and then it's gone for a whole nother year. And they don't realize that what work, I mean, they just see people show up and the fruit's there, and I mean, they pick and they enjoy it. And we want them to really enjoy that and to be a family event, to come out with your children, show them where their fruit comes from, you know, show them what kind of work it takes to go pick a gallon of blueberries. And, you know, that part of it has been really rewarding to get to share with the community. But the work doesn't stop there. You know, you in a way, you kind of wish people would come back after the season. You see the fields that they're pruned. There's a lot of work goes into doing that. The minute harvest is over, now you're preparing for next year. You're trying to keep the bushes pruned and cleaned and fertilized and all these things that go into having a good crop for the following year. People don't see that as much. Another thing we've added over the last few years is the playground, which was mainly added for the pumpkin patch, but it still is used for when the kids come to pick blueberries. So all these things have kind of evolved to where it is today. When you plant blueberries, from the time you plant them till they actually get big enough that you can have a harvest is somewhere around 3 years. Then they will continue to raise in production up to about 5 years is when they will start peaking out. But with blueberries, after the season, and blackberries, the fruit is on new growth. So a lot of the work goes into you're constantly trying to rejuvenate that bush every year because your fruit is always on the new growth. So as the plant gets older and more woody, more mature, you're having to prune every year to generate new growth. So there's a lot of time goes into from the end of harvest through the fall and constantly pruning the bush and generating the new growth. Blueberries don't have a lot of diseases or insects, but there are some things that you need to spray in the fall after harvest to keep that plant healthy. But like right now, the blackberries, we're having to go out and prune all the old canes out, which is what the fruit was on last year. And the new canes have started coming up, and so we're trying to keep them healthy and grow as much volume as possible to have fruit set on for next year. And we've got about 40 acres of blueberries, and we've got about 2 acres of blackberries and about 3 acres of persimmons and about 4 acres of peaches. When you are planting a new planting of blueberries or blackberries, you know, you have to go in and lay your rows off. Our fields are all planted in 12-foot rows. So you'll lay these rows off, and then you'll go in there and either till or kill the grass in probably about a 4 to 6 foot area where the plant is going to be planted. And most of the time we'll soil sample and get back if any nutrients need to be added to it, you know, before you plant. Is the best time to add them, you know, prepare your soil for the best nutrients. Once that's done, we always plant any sort of fruiting trees are always planted during the dormant season, which is as soon as you get a frost in the fall is when you want to plant any sort of fruiting trees. And even landscape shrubs are better off to be planted in the fall and winter. Because when you plant your bushes in the fall, even though the top of the bush is dormant, not growing, the ground warms up, and so the roots are still growing even in the wintertime. So the bush will go dormant after the first frost. Kind of puts the bush to sleep. And that's when you want to plant, because your roots will become much more established in the winter. And it also, there's not as much weed pressure. Once you plant the plants, then we personally come back and mulch the plant. We take any sort of wood debris and we will mulch that plant afterwards. And that's to help keep a more consistent moisture in the ground and keep weeds down, so you don't have to spray and kill weeds as much. We also put drip irrigation, so you'll run your trunk lines and string out all your drip lines to irrigate the plant during the summer, because for the last few years we've gotten plenty of rain. But most years we get pretty dry, so we have drip irrigation on all the fields so we can keep them watered and keep the plant as healthy as possible. For the most part, for the first 3 to 4 years, you're a nurseryman. You're not necessarily a farmer. You're just trying to grow plants. And you know, the healthier you can keep them and the faster they grow, the more they're going to come into production. The commercial side of it, either blueberries go into the fresh market, which you will see the little cups, the pints, quarts in the grocery store. The other side of that is there's the processed market, which most of that fruit will go into like a 30-pound box and frozen, and then that will be distributed out the rest of the year to people that are pie companies, jellies. Blueberries are even used in sausage now. A lot of your flavored sausages, cheesecakes, you know, just whatever the industry demands, that's what that fruit goes to. Having the farm passed down from my grandfather to my mother to me, I want it to pass down to my son and my grandson. I think we're so quick to not put a value in family and the farm to continue on. Our society today has just put such an emphasis on everything monetary. And I was very privileged to be able to be here on the farm and raise both my sons here. They got to see things being here on the farm that most kids don't ever get to see. I mean, they see how things grow. It's just all a part of life and how family means something. Our country is such a transient country now. I mean, people move from place to place. They aren't attached to the land anymore. And if you don't really kind of take a stand and put an emphasis on giving back to the community, and the UPIC has allowed us to do that. It's allowed us to have family involved, and that really means something. I mean, I want to have my grandkids learn work ethic. My kids learned work ethic. They know what it's like to go ride the back of a blueberry harvester while all their friends are at the lake. They may not be happy about it, but in time they will realize as they get older the value in having work ethic. I want my grandkids to learn that. I mean, right now I just have 2 grandkids. You know, by the time they're 4 or 5 years old, they'll know what it's like to drive a tractor. They will know what it's like to be when it's hot. It's not always comfortable out here. Just passing that down means a lot to me. I mean, my grandfather passed it to me, my parents, you know, and the least I can do is pass it to my own kids and grandkids.